Hello and welcome to Content and Conversations Live. I am your host, Ryan Dowdy, and I'm excited to have a conversation with you about the fear of outbound. The fear of outbound. What does that mean? What does that look like? How do we get over it so that we can build healthy, thriving sales pipelines that help us make a shit ton of money? So I hope you all had an amazing weekend. For those of you that are here live, thank you for being here. For those of you are catching this on the podcast, we're just really excited to be here to spend some time with you and to hopefully inspire you in an exciting way. So I have three things I'm going to break apart for you, but I want to talk about the fear of outbound and where this podcast, this episode really comes from. So we host a boot camp inside of our agency called the Content and Conversations Boot Camp. And every single week I'm, encouraging our members to reach out and talk to new people. And inevitably, we get in our feelings, right? We get in our fear, we get in the fear of rejection, we get in the, but what do I say? And what do I do? And there's this huge fear of outbound marketing for a couple of reasons. One, I believe there's a lot of fear, especially for my online entrepreneurs, because online marketing and outbound DMs are something that tend to get vilified pretty regularly, right? There's a lot of people on the internet that have really strong feelings about outbound, DMs, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of people that have feelings about that. But then also there's the fear for us as humans in just the fear of rejection, right? The fear of reaching out to somebody and being told no, the fear of what if they don't want it? What if they don't like it? What if they're going to get angry? What if they're going to be rude to me? And so those two things happen pretty regularly, and they oftentimes keep us in inaction. So I want to just tell you a little bit of a story as to why I'm so passionate about outbound as a tool. And then I'm going to give you some really tangible ideas as to how do I move through this fear so that I can actually implement an outbound strategy in my business that actually helps me make more money, because that's what we're all here to do, right? So I started my career selling radio advertising in Orlando, Florida in 2005, I believe. And literally, like, those were the days where like they handed me a phone book and we're like, okay, go sell something, right? Like literally what I did from the very beginning of my career was cold call. And I didn't get a really long, like 10-day sales training. There was no tidy course. There were no scripts or templates or, blueprints back in 2005. It was sit next to this woman, listen to hear what she says, and then go make your own calls. That was literally it. That's literally how I started my career, was figuring out how to cold call all by myself. And, we did more than cold call, right? We did door pulling. We did a lot of like driving around to shopping centers, parking the car, going inside, pulling the door. We did some networking events and different things like that. But literally when I started my career, there was nothing. Or you got like an old list, like these are all the people that have advertised with us at some point in time, just give them a call. But there was no notes. There was no CRM. Nobody said like, oh, this guy is, this person, we had a really great experience. This guy hates us. This guy spent $1 million. This guy spent 12. None of that information existed. So I just had to go figure it out. And fortunately, I'm a very strong, very focused, very committed person. And I just showed up and did it, right? I did the job because that was the job. I loved the people I worked with and for. I loved the idea of working in radio. Like it was fun. It was exciting. I loved putting together advertising campaigns. So I figured out how to cold call. And literally in my entire career, I lived in a role where I had to do my own business development, right? There was no ads. There was no content marketing. There were some inbound leads that came in on occasion that would get handed to us, but I have literally been cold calling my entire career. I've had to generate, all of the opportunities that I have generated for myself by myself. And so this idea that we now have access to social media, where we have access to billions of people without ever leaving the house, where we could go into a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group or over onto Instagram or over onto TikTok and find where hundreds of thousands of people have already been gathered that are interested in a specific topic. And now we can get into conversation with them and build a relationship with them. Like it's amazing and it's incredible. And it makes it so much easier, right? Like so much easier. So the reason I am so passionate about this is because I know that it works, right? Like literally sold millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of advertising and marketing solutions from cold calling. I feel like cold outbound messaging DMs are the new cold calling, if you will. But we don't do it in a really spammy way inside of the agency. We're actually very relationship focused. Obviously the name of our agency is the Connection Agency, but I wanted to tell you that because I think that that's important. There's a lot of people that question, does this even work? Like cold messaging outbound, it's something that has gone on for decades and decades and decades. Like it's literally go find an old sales book that's 20, 30 years old. It's all about cold calling, right? It's all about connecting with new people, picking up the phone. But here we are on the internet. We're like, you want me to reach out to a stranger? No. We're just horrified that you would want me to reach out to somebody and share something I'm really passionate about with them, because what will they think? right? Like, and I know I'm being dramatic right now, but like, think about it, dude. Think about it. You are terrified to hop into somebody's DMs and start a conversation with them. Why? 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 The fear of rejection, sure, right? What are they going to think? What do people think of me? All those things, right? Like we talk about those things here on the show, but when we really think about the idea that business building is hard, when we have access to billions of people with a B without ever leaving the house, if we're willing to get a little uncomfortable, it all gets a lot easier, right? So how do we get over the fear of outbound? How do we do that? Okay, I'm getting off my soapbox and I'm going to be helpful to you. You ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? So the first thing is what is the intention? Most people, I think, are so distraught over outbound because we have inboxes full of people whose intentions don't feel good. Right? Am I right? Yes. In the comments, let me know. Am I right? Inboxes full of people whose intentions don't feel good. They're not connection focused. They're not relationship focused in any way. They don't know anything about us. They don't give us an opportunity to opt in or opt out of a conversation. And so, we think, good morning, Amy. How are you? So, we have an inbox full of that. And when we think of, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to make that person feel that way. Well, the good news is, when you set the right intention, you don't have to be that person. Like your intention of hopping into somebody's inbox can literally be just to build a relationship with them. Right. I've said it a million times. We don't sell anything to anybody if we don't have permission to do so, which means when we get into people's inboxes, we're not selling anything. We're starting a conversation. It's very important that you hear me in this. We are not selling anything in that first outreach. We are starting a conversation. Because when we're selling, it might be like, hey, Amy, my name is Ryan. I have this really cool product. It's called the Content and Conversations Bootcamp. Do you want to join it? Here's my link, right? That is selling in the DMs. That is a cold pitch. I'm not recommending that at all. And even when I cold called back in 2005, I didn't pick up the phone and say, hey, you want to buy my advertising package? No, I said, hey, listen, I have access to 250,000 people between the ages of 18 and 24 or 18 and 34 that are motivated buyers. Would it be valuable for you to put your ABC business in front of these people? That's how I sold advertising. I didn't say, hey, want to buy an advertising package? Hell no. I said, hey, I have access to this audience. I think that you might find valuable. Would you like to chat about it? Would that be valuable to you? Would that be interesting to you? My intention was to start a conversation. Right? It wasn't to sell anything, because even if it was interested, even if they were interested in it, didn't mean that I could actually help them. Because I might get into that conversation, going back to my selling radio days, right? Like, might find out that my audience isn't the right audience for them. I might find out that their budget doesn't match what budget they need to spend to be effective. I might find out all sorts of different things about that business once I actually get into conversation with them, but we all have to start the conversation. So the best way to get past this fear of outbound is to really focus on what is your intention. Outbound marketing is intended to start a conversation, not to cold pitch, not to sell in the DMs, to start a conversation, because conversations equals relationships and relationships equals clients. And when you come in with that intention, if I'm going to get into conversations, I'm going to build relationships, I'm going to meet new people that I have at my fingertips because of the magic of social media, that energy just shifts, right? If you're like, shit, I got to go cold pitch 25 people today. Nobody wants to do that, right? But if it's like, dude, I get to go start a conversation with 25 new people today, I'm really pumped to do that, right? I'm really pumped to do that. So that's the first one. The best way to do that is like, what is your intention, and really shifting that intention. The second one is attention. It's understanding that today, like, attention is currency. Getting people to pay attention is harder than ever before. It's actually why the name of the show is Content and Conversations, because we can't do one without the other. We cannot do one without the other. We can't just be content machines and not talk to our people, right? And unfortunately, these days, we can't just be conversations machines and not post content, because we need to get their attention. So if I'm going to send somebody a direct message to start a conversation, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go to my profile and they're going to look at it. And what does my profile tell them about me? What does it tell them about my business? What does it tell them about how I help people, right? So attention is currency, but the problem, and I'm using air quotes for those of you that are listening to the podcast, the problem here is that it's harder to get people's attention than ever before. So when we are doing outbound, we can't just send one message. I can't just message Amy and then message Paige and then message Sarah and send all of them one DM and then never talk to them ever again and expect to get a response. It doesn't work that way. But that's hard for a lot of people, because then if I have to message you 2 or 3 or 4 times to get your attention, I'm really uncomfortable because I feel like I'm being annoying, or I feel like I'm bothering you, or I feel like, well, they didn't respond back, so what do I do? Here's the deal, right? How many of you have gotten that text message from the school that's like, it's Spirit Week. Next week is Spirit Week with your kids. Don't forget it's Spirit Week. It's in their backpack, the little piece of paper that tells you what every day is, right? You get the text message. And then you get the automated voicemail. I love that my kid's school does that, right? Automated voicemail. That's like, hey, it's such and such elementary. This week is Spirit Week. Don't forget, right? So now I've got a text message. I get a voicemail. We have an app that my kid's teacher communicates with us. So then we get an app. We get a notification in the app, and then we get an email that's like, "Hey, here's Spirit Week and all the thing." And who still wakes up on Monday morning and their kid's like, "Hey, mom, it's Crazy Hair Day," and you're like, "Oh shit, totally forgot," right? And the school has communicated with me 6 ways from Sunday that it is Spirit Week. Right? It's literally on my fridge, the piece of paper. And I completely forgot. Why? Because I have 4 million things going on, right? 2 small children, a business to run. I was traveling last week and I forgot about Spirit Week. Thank God my son is amazing. It was like, "Hey, mom, I got this," and fixed his own damn hair. God love him, right? But that is why we have to interact with people multiple times to get their attention. And like I said, this is so uncomfortable for so many people because the idea of actually sending somebody multiple messages without a response like just hurts their heart. But the truth is that I got multiple messages without a response from the school about something I actually care about, which is my kid's Spirit Week, right? I care a lot about my kid's Spirit Week. That's a lie. I would rather just cut the check. Y'all know that. I'm like, "Here's your $25. Thank you so much." But instead, I'm like putting hairs and mohawks and trying to find camo shit and whatever. But anyway, the truth of the matter is I obviously have a vested interest in my child, maybe not so much Spirit Week, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that is a topic that is near and dear to me, and I still drop the ball on it. So imagine getting a message from a stranger that I don't know. Of course, I'm not in a big hurry to get back to messaging that person back or to responding to that person's message. It doesn't mean that I don't have the problem that they solve. It doesn't mean that I'm not interested in what they're buying. It doesn't mean that they can't help me immensely. It just means that my attention is split in so many different directions. And so if we send people one DM and we go away, we're never going to get anywhere. Because this is the biggest thing. And I create a lot of content around this last week. People are like, "Ryan, I'm sending DMs and I'm not getting any responses." And they're reaching out to people once, right? Again, Spirit Week, they made 4 attempts and I still dropped the ball. And we want to reach out to people one time. And we want to have a calendar full of appointments. It doesn't work that way, right? We have to get people's attention. We have to build a little bit of a rapport, but before we can build rapport, we have to get their attention. And there's this fine balance when we're in the DMs. How do we build a relationship versus like, I don't want to pitch. Remember, we're not saying, "Hey, here's my thing, want to buy it." We're saying, "Hey, we've been hearing from people like you that have this problem. Do you have this problem? Do you need help? What's going on?" We're doing this very respectfully. We're doing this very connection focused. We are not pitching anything. We're not selling anything, but sometimes you're going to have to ask more than once. And most people are afraid to ask more than once. Do you know who's not afraid to ask more than once? My child. Neither one of my children really, but so those of you that know me, maybe you've heard some Georgia stories. Georgia's amazing. She's 4 years old. Sunday morning, she climbs in bed with me at 6 a.m. Yes, 6 a.m. And I'm still asleep. And I'm like, "Girlfriend, it's Sunday. Here's the remote. You can watch Dora the Explorer. I'm going to go back to sleep." This kid, I'm not kidding. She asked me 12 times between the hours of 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. to go get her some applesauce and some fruit rounds, right? You guys have had Aldi fruit rounds. They have no food dye in them. So if you're trying to avoid food dye, that's why we eat them. But anyway, 12 times in an hour, she asked me to go get her a snack. Okay, 12 times. And I told her no 11 times. Mommy's sleeping. Mommy's sleeping. Mommy's sleeping. Do you know who actually got out of bed and got that kid some fruit rounds? Me. Right? 12th time in an hour. And I'm obviously not proposing that we torment our prospects like my child tormented me on Sunday morning. But what I am telling you is that like we lose that persistence. We lose that tenacity, right? That kid just wanted a damn snack and she was not going to take no for an answer because she wanted a snack. If we all had 20% of Georgia Dowdy's tenacity in our connection with other people, do you know how powerful we would be? Do you know how healthy our sales pipelines would be? Do you know how amazing our businesses would look, right? We ask once, we get no answer, right? We don't even get the rejection. We're taking the no response as rejection, which is also a bullshit story. Let's not kid. And then we never reach out again. And then we say, "Oh, this doesn't work," right? So we really need to focus on, we have to get people's attention, and that is going to take more than one try. And in fact, we normally recommend a series of different touch points, right? DMs, comments, pop into their stories, interact with them in different ways, right? Because we have to get people's attention, and it is hard to get their attention, and we have to ask more than once. And I understand that that is uncomfortable, but it is just the nature of the beast. So you can sit there and you can stay broke, and you can stay there with no appointments on your calendar, and you can stay there with an empty sales pipeline, or you can get uncomfortable and you can ask more than once. And Amy here in the comments says, I struggle all the time. And yes, so many people respond when the last message is sent. Yes, so many people respond when that last message is sent, right? For me, I never answer anybody's first DM. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because the sales process is the honeymoon phase, or is the honeymoon phase of relationships, right? It's the very beginning. And if you're not willing to reach out to me more than once to share your idea, your vision, your help, your power, your mission, if you're not willing to ask me more than once, then you're just not committed to it. That might be my own bullshit story because of what I do for a living, but I refuse to work with a salesperson who will only reach out to me one time. I refuse. If you really care, if you're really committed, if you really think that you can help me, you're going to reach out again, right? But again, we're not pitching, we're not selling, we're connecting, we're starting conversations, and we're going to have to fight for people's attention. Okay. So the first thing we have to do to overcome our fear of inbounds is the intention. The second thing is the attention, right? We have to be willing to get people's attention. And then number 3, it's our energy. Our energy matters. The energy that we take into our DMs. So here's the deal. If you're sitting here listening to me right now and you're like, okay, fine, Ryan, I'll do it. And if you're amazing enough to be using Connect Chat, which is our prospecting tool, our social media prospecting tool that we use, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do it, but you show up and you do it and you hate it and you bitch, moan, and complain about it and you don't want to do it, and you sit there and your fear and your all the anxiety of, oh my God, is this even going to work for me? And all the things, right? All the things. If that's your feelings, if that's the feeling, if that's the energy that you're in when you're doing your outbound, just don't do it. Just skip it. Just skip it, right? I need you in the energy of, I am connecting with, or whatever your energy feels good. I'm not even going to tell you what energy I need you in. I need you in an energy that feels good. So when my team sits down to do their outbound blocks, right? I have trained them. We have trained them. Let's not kid. Valerie does way more of that than I do. You guys know that about me. Train them to our job is to help people. We get to help people every single day. Think of how friggin' lucky. This is how I started this conversation. How lucky are we that we don't have to cold call? Y'all ever been rejected on a cold call? Have you ever been yelled at through the phone by a cold call? How? I can't send DMs to strangers. Make a cold call, pull a door, be face to face with somebody who tells you to get out of their business. Talk about rejection, my friends, right? We are so lucky. So when we approach it with this energy of imagine, this is amazing. There's so many people that I can help. And all I have to do is start a conversation with them on social media to help them. This is magical. This is so exciting. This is so easy. I love connecting with new people. I love helping people. I'm so on fire for what I do, for the results that we get people, for the power that my transformation provides, whatever your transformation is, that I am willing to get a little uncomfortable to do it. And when you really can get into that energy of, my goodness, imagine how easy it is to grow a business. Imagine trying to grow a business 20 years ago. Imagine without the technology and the tools and the access to humans, we would have had to leave the house and shit. What would we have done then? I told you what we were doing then, but think about it, guys. When we really get down into it, when I make it sound that silly, and I'm not insulting you and I don't want to make you feel dumb, but when we shift that energy into, imagine thinking that it's hard to find people when we have access to billions of them with a B. But if we can shift into this energy, this idea that all I have to do is connect with new people and share my passion and share my energy and connect with them in a meaningful way and solve a problem that they actually have. And that's how I'm going to sign clients. And that's how I'm going to make money. It's pure magic. And so if you can view it from that energy, if you can get into that energy, you can get over that fear of rejection and the fear of judgment. Because here's the deal. You're going to get rejected and you're going to get judged. That is the worst thing that happens here. You get rejected and you get judged. You're being rejected and you're being judged anyway. You're rejecting yourself and you're judging yourself anyway. So what is the worst case scenario? What do you have to lose from actually reaching out to somebody on the internet that you like their style, that you like their energy, and saying, Paige, I just love how passionate you are about barefoot leadership. I love how powerfully you show up. And I have to tell you, we work with consultants all the time to do ABC, XYZ. I have no idea if this is a problem that you're having. But does this resonate with you at all? Like, that's how easy it has to be. Find a person that you like, that fits the profile, send them a message, tell them you like them, tell them how you can help them, and ask them, does this resonate? Does this make sense? Is this something you're looking for support on? Are you open to having a conversation? That is all that you have to do. But the energy has to come from this place of, I love helping people. I love serving people. I love how easy this is. Because if you come from the energy of, I hate this is terrible, I'm going to be rejected, this isn't going to go well, this is never going to work for me, then that's what you're going to get. And you might as well just not waste your time. You may as well just not waste your time. But if you can get yourself into that energy, if you can get yourself into that space of, this is like so fun. We're like playing a game. Like, I'm sitting in my house. Half the time we're sitting in our, on our couches in our pajamas with our hair in a ponytail, watching Encanto for the 476th time, and we're doing business. Like, how friggin' cool is that? They're like, all I have to do is just like hang out in this Facebook group and scroll through my feed and friend request cool people, or go over to LinkedIn, or go over to Instagram, or go over to TikTok, or wherever you want to hang out, my friend, and just friggin' start conversations with people. That is how easy it is to build a business. And when we come from that energy, we are going to get miraculously better results, just dramatically better results, right? So the 3 things I need you to do to get results in your outbound is, A, get real clear on your intention, right? B, realize that attention is harder to get than it once was. And C, manage your energy, right? Manage your energy. You're going to be rejected. You're going to get told no. You're probably going to piss somebody off. You might get blocked, but that is the worst thing that happens to you. You don't die. You don't starve. You're not injured. You don't get thrown out of somebody's place of business. You don't get hung up on and called an asshole, right? You don't get any of those things. You just, either get ignored. That's it. That is the worst case scenario, my friend. So please go out into the world, start more conversations, help more people, share your mission, share your vision, get over being uncomfortable, because it's just part of the game. It's just part of the game. And I love each and every one of you so much, and I'll see you all next week.